Do you believe that the people that do have that support system are the ones that are most likely to make it after they've been out of prison?
Yes, that's very important. If you come out, you have a supportive family, and if it's not just completely, just totally dysfunctional, I mean, most families are dysfunctional. They say if you don't have two parents, that's considered dysfunctional. Someone's drinking. So, I mean, most families are considered dysfunctional. But if it's not just too chaotic, where you may come back in an environment where it may be abuse, there may be drug activity, it may be gang activity. But if you have a good, solid support system and someone willing to say, well, look, we'll navigate you through the system. Maybe you need to get you a CDL license. Maybe you need to go down and get your GED. Or maybe you need to, and now they're able to walk alongside you and say, well, we're going to help assist you in that process. So if you don't have that, then it makes it that much more difficult.
So what are the benefits and rewards of pursuing that and pushing through to become that productive citizen?
Well, I think for every person it's going to be different. One person may say, well, it's just to know that I've done it, or to know that now I don't have to look over my shoulders, or maybe to say that in the midst of the struggle, I still have survived, I still risen, and now I can go on and be able to have an inner peace. So I think it depends on each individual. But yes, there are rewards, first and foremost, because it's a natural instinct to want to be free, and so that's one of the greatest things, to know that you're free.
Do you believe there's enough support available for ex-offenders in the area, in the communities here?
I know there's not enough support. That's a known fact. You have different agencies that focus on that. You have different people that get out of prison, they don't even have housing. They get out and have a long waiting list because of housing. Training is very important. I think that more and more agencies are seeing a need to step up, and that's a beautiful thing. But, there's not enough support. We don't have a lot of jobs that are in a lot of inner cities, and so because of the economy and the job and those issues, that makes it even more difficult. And then, the ex-felon, it's a big, it can be done, but that's a big issue in a lot of organizations, a lot of companies' mind.
Now, there's someone watching this program that's an ex-offender and struggling to make it on the outside. What would you like to say to them?
Well, I'd like to tell them that, first of all, it's not going to be easy. And many times you want to do better, and you need to also keep in mind, first of all, where you've been. And also realize that sometimes you got to take a look at what you bring to the table. You want to get a $12, $18, $30 job, but what are your skills? And what is your level of insight? So maybe you need to go back and take a look at, well, how do I develop my skills? Maybe look at volunteering. Sometimes it's not just going through the front door, it's through the back door. You may, as a volunteer, maybe see people who can maybe mentor you that already have some interesting things going. They may already have a construction company, and maybe you can work with them, at a lower salary. So I think it's just a matter of just realizing that no matter what happens, never give up, there's always hope.
Well, thank you very much, Lawton.
And you're so very welcome.
We've been speaking with Lawton Merritt. He is the founder and CEO of Little Johnny Ministries. Our issue for this segment has been crime. Our topic, falling in and out of a criminal lifestyle. We will be right back. Hello and welcome back to Public Report. I'm Jackie Kullhammer, your host. Today we are speaking with Lawton Merritt. He is the founder and CEO of Little Johnny Ministries. Our issue for this segment is youth. Our topic is helping youth raise their expectations. Well, thank you again, Lawton, for being our guest today.
Thank you.
Now, why have you chosen to work with youth?
I think ultimately it's something that chose me. First of all, I know that I've been through a lot of things in life, from running away from home through, my father physically abusing me, gangs, selling drugs, many things I've done. And so I feel that I have a different level of connection with youth. I keep my ear to the streets. I listen to rap music. It is something that allows me just to be able to, ultimately when I look at a lot of youth and I see a lot of different things, that it disturbs me. I look at their future, I look at their choices, and it's a side of me that really wants to see it the other way. And so my compassion comes from that, want to see it the other way, and that's what gives me the inspiration to be able to work with youth.
Now, can you tell me about raising expectations and aligning youth with destiny, and what happens to them when they have low expectations and they don't believe they have a destiny?
Many youth have not been told that there's something, that they can be great, and they're not encouraged, they're not motivated, they're not told that they're loved. Many youth have basically been attacked, been assassinated, their character, their spirit, and so at the same time, if that doesn't happen and people say, well, you know, there's like the A game, we expect the best out of you. In the midst of all that, we expect the standard. They need to know that there's a standard in life, and there's a standard that they must live up to. There's expectations, there's responsibilities, and we need to somehow challenge their belief systems and put them on that mindset where they understand that this is what is expected of you, this is who you really are. When a youth begins to not just dismantle that mindset, and when they operate out of a low self-esteem, then if they flipping hamburgers, they never could imagine they could own McDonald's. Then if they driving a car, they never could imagine I could engineer and I can be able to design that car. So the expectation is very important, and to begin to help them understand who they are and just the power within them is so very, very important.
Do you believe that many leaders who work with youth often do not address the hard issues?
I think many times they want to, but they don't know how. We're in a time, I look at this generation almost like a hybrid generation. Many youth leaders in many ways have, they're disconnected to what's really going on. You know, they're almost like living on the mountaintop instead of valley. So they don't keep current in a lot of ways. You know, they don't listen closely to the voice of the youth, their music, their clothing. You know, they're not, a lot of times they don't ask the right questions. You know, so yes, I would say, you know, that's a big problem. We say youth leadership, we're talking about parents, we're talking about the church, we're talking about educators. So there's a big problem with those who are leading and how we engage our youth.
So you have purpose to work with youth and to understand then what they're going through. And how do you go about doing that?
Well, only one way you could really go about understanding a person is to talk to them. You know, you can't assume everybody's the same. You know, I know a little young boy who had got all his teeth knocked out. He was 13 years old. He lived in a group home. And when I saw him, he was glad to see me. And he immediately began to smile. But after he started smiling, his hand went over his face, shame. But I had already knew his teeth was knocked out. And when I walked up to him, I said, man, Shawty, how you living? He said, man, it's all bad, man. You know, my mom's out there on that stuff. You know, I haven't been to sleep in 2 weeks. You know, I'm sleeping in the car. So how do you know that? By just looking at him. You know, he has to communicate that to you. And how do you relate to that? I can't relate to that, but I can understand his pain and begin to try to look at, well, how do we lead and guide him from there?